Hi there. In this lecture we see Alexander Alekhine playing against an anonymous player, NN. This is in 1911 Moscow. So e4 from Alekhine, e5, knight f3, knight c6. We go into the Italian game, the classical variation c3, knight f6. Now d4, this is the classical variation center attack. E takes d4. Now in this position, c takes d4 would be the Greco gambit. Alekhine plays castling, which has a perk that now that the king's tucked away, any c takes d4, this won't be check. Bishop b4 won't be check. The king's not there, right? So this is interesting, and it's actually got a name. It's the Walbrot-Bard gambit, or Bard gambit, B-A-I-R-D. So technically it's an inaccuracy, but it's not that inaccurate. Black castles, which is actually a significant mistake. Actually, black's getting a lost game, it seems, after just castling. So this is actually a very decent surprise weapon, this whole thing. If black plays knight takes e4, c takes d4, black does have d5 here. This may be the best way for black to play it. We can take on c5 and play queen e2, queen e7. We can take on c4. And this position, black has a small edge, but it's only tiny. It's like nearly equality. So say knight c3, knight takes, queen takes, black can castle queenside. This position, it's actually difficult to really say if black's got an advantage or not. It's about equal. And if black castles kingside, then it's more shifting for a tiny advantage for white here after either bishop f4 or rook e1. So this is certainly pretty interesting, and this move castling, and black just castled routinely. Quite often in a lot of master games, you see both sides castling one after the other. It's like it seems almost like automatic to be prompted to castle yourself. But here it really is a big mistake to castle after white castled. We have c takes d4. You can see now that actually, hold on, white's pawns can just push through. We have d5, knight e7, and now e5. Yeah, the pawns shouldn't be like this. Something's gone really badly wrong for black. We have knight e8. If knight g4, we can push through again with d6, and we're blunting. We're kind of not blunting. We're locking in that bishop on c8. So this position would be a very dominating position for white. So anyway, black plays knight e8. We have d6 here, c takes, e takes, knight g6. And now bishop g5, knight f6, knight c3. Now, okay, when we think about soft spots, they're interesting, aren't they, in the Italian game? Also, you know, the absolute pin is a classic, right? The classic Italian game bishop looking at g8, it's a classic, right? Absolute classic, absolute pin. Now this move in conjunction to what I've just said, why is this move kind of special interest here? Before we look at black's threat and panic, you know, for black's threat, or trying to react to black's threat, you know, consider bishop takes f6, etc. What has black actually done? There is actually a weakness of the last move. And the weakness of the last move does actually align to these strengths of our position. This bishop pinning the pawn. The pawn's not really looking at g6. So black's extra weakened g6. Where in fact that was the only pawn controlling g6, right? So our instant reaction is to react to black's threat, but actually black does have a weakness of the last move there. This isn't a really brilliant move, which is devastating for black. Can you see what it is for 100 points? It's queen c2. Yeah, we can look at g6 now. We can counter attack the opponent's piece. Brilliant move. So it's a good reminder about the king's soft spots and the related absolute pins, and how that can also link with weakness of the last move to amplify absolute pins. So queen c2 looking at g6. If we'd played bishop takes f6, we do actually get an advantage here. This position is advantageous to us. Even if f2 drops, we're clearly better here because we've got so much pressure on black's position. And we're going to build up pressure. We are better. Also, bishop h4 is also, knight g6 here, b4. This is a very, very good position where black's under great pressure, this position. But yeah, this is absolutely great, queen c2. We have h takes g5. So it is kind of ridiculous looking here to consider other moves. I mean, knight h8, it does look pretty anti-positional. We don't have to do anything that clever. We can just put our bishop back and just laugh basically at black's position. We're going to build up the pressure soon with knight d5. It's unthinkable. So this is a really dreadful position for black anyway. So queen takes g6. So now we're threatening knight takes g5. We have knight h7, and now a really accurate and cute, I have to say cute move here is played for 100 points. What would you play here? It's actually knight d5. So the queen can't be taken because of, in particular for 10 points, knight e7, this double check, and we're looking at g6 next. King has to move from a double check. Knight takes g6 is checkmate. Yeah, this would be the key move. Knight e7 check. Not knight f6 check, because king h8, that wouldn't be too clever. So anyway, so king h8 is played, and now knight e7, brilliant stuff. Queen takes e7 is played because if f takes, knight takes g6 is mate. If bishop c5, we can pile on the pressure with knight e5, the other knight coming in. This position, queen takes g5, as example, queen h4 check. And here, what would be cute in this position for 10 points? Check all checks. In fact, two of them, yeah, there's at least 2 free checks to consider, but one of them's really, really good. Knight 5 to g6 check, so we want control of g8. So that forces f takes, and now knight takes g6 to checkmate. Yeah, if we'd played the other knight, we're letting black have g8 to play with. So yeah, the knight 5 to g6 is crushing here. So anyway, in this position, queen takes e7 was played. D takes, f takes g6. Now I know what most players, I believe I know what most players would play here, but Alekhine plays a different move to what most players would play. So what do you think is the absolute best move? Absolutely cute, brilliant stuff. Knight e5. We could take on f8 before we get into knight e5. Check. And we are the exchange up. So, it's 4 pieces each, but we have 2 rooks compared to the 1 rook. With the exchange up here, this is a winning position for sure. And look at black's pawn structure. And also black has concrete issues here. But this knight e5 is totally devastating. It sets up the big mate threat instead of taking the rook. It's not doing black any favours, leaving these pieces in the kind of helping the mate position, because the knight's blocking in the king. The king's out of escape square, so we should be excited as an attacking player. That's something you'll hear me say frequently. When we take away king escape squares, we need to be excited. We can start to look beyond the obvious. This is a great case. We can aim for that checkmate, knight takes g6. Black resigns, so if rook e8, knight takes g6 is checkmate. If d5, knight takes g6 check, bishop takes d5 check. Black has the resource bishop e6. We take, and then here knight e5 is going to be winning that rook. Yeah, putting more pressure on the pin here. We're winning that rook here, so this is absolutely crushing. We've done a lot better than before. We're hugely material up. If knight f6, yeah, in this case we can take that rook with check. The knight's not taking our pawn. And this is just clearly, absolutely, it's game over. You know, it's going to be game over. I'll show you a checkmate just for interest. Okay, so rook f6. There's knight takes g6 check here for e8 queening. This is absolutely game over. Rook f7. There's knight takes f7 check, knight e5 check. Bishop takes d5 check, bishop takes e6 check, and here knight takes g6 is checkmate. Bishop takes f2 check, doesn't help black's cause. Rook takes f2. Let's say rook f6. Knight takes g6 check, getting the rook out of the way. e8 queening, knight f8, rook takes f8 check, rook h8 is checkmate. So anyway, knight e5 ended the game. And yes, from an opening theoretical perspective, let's bear in mind, you know, Greco, which started off the Italian game, you know, the 1600s, we're near the Greco gambit territory. But one of the issues which has been taken out of the equation, so to speak, one of the downsides which has been ironed out here by white castling, going into the Woolbrot-Baird gambit, which is technically an inaccuracy, is that black shouldn't follow suit to castle. This is a huge mistake. We've got this major pawn roller. And when we have these absolute pins, we need to link those up with weaknesses of the last move. Sometimes, you know, our immediate reaction when the opponent does a move is to look at their threats. That's the priority. But actually, you know, sometimes to create that threat, they've created a major weakness to exploit. And here, yeah, g6 after queen c2. Crushing game, brilliant game, one of my favourite Alexander Alekhine games. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this as much as me. Thanks so much. Hi there. I hope you enjoyed that game sample. It's actually from my course, which you can find at the Kingscrusher TV page, which has great discounts. It's the Italian game Mastery, the Ideal Beginner's Opening. So just very briefly, if we click there, you can also see other free sample videos. Just do expand all sections, and you can see these preview links if you want to see other free previews and get an idea of the course yourself. I'm going to keep it short here. Just basically to say I had a fantastic time seeing many brilliant games in the Italian game. You can see from the number of collections how epic some of these games are, that they've been collected like hundreds of times at chessgames.com. And yeah, I really hope you check out this index and may consider getting the course. Okay. Comments, questions, likes, shares appreciated. Thanks so much.